everyone, and welcome back to A Little Privacy Please. I'm your host, Julie Rubash, General Counsel and Chief Privacy Officer at SourcePoint by Didomi. This week, we're focusing on CCPA opt-out enforcement in California. The California Privacy Protection Agency, CalPrivacy, announced 2 enforcement actions that highlight a consistent theme we're seeing from the regulator. Opt-out rights must be easy, immediate, and frictionless for consumers. Let's start with the first case, involving PlayOn Sports, a high school sports ticketing and events platform. The company agreed to pay $1.1 million over alleged failures to properly provide consumers with the ability to opt out of the sale or sharing of their personal information. According to CalPrivacy, the website displayed a banner asking users to click Agree to accept tracking technologies before continuing, but there was no alternative option besides agreeing. The site did include a Your Privacy Choices link, but that link directed users to a phone number and email address to opt out. And importantly, those methods did not actually stop data sharing through third-party tracking technologies. Instead, users were sent to industry tools like the Network Advertising Initiative and the Digital Advertising Alliance to opt out of targeted advertising. CalPrivacy said that approach does not satisfy the CCPA's requirements. The key takeaway here is that even if companies seek opt-in consent to address other risks, like litigation under the California Invasion of Privacy Act, they still must comply with the CCPA's specific opt-out rules. That means businesses must recognize opt-out preference signals and provide a clear "do not sell or share my personal information" or "Your Privacy Choices" link that lets consumers fully opt out of all data sales or sharing. And while it wasn't specifically mentioned in the PlayOn Sports action, CalPrivacy has emphasized in other enforcement actions, such as its case against Honda, that companies should follow the principle of symmetry of choice. In simple terms, opting out shouldn't take more steps than opting back in, and if a website asks consumers to consent to tracking, it must provide an equally easy way to decline it. The second enforcement action last week involved Ford Motor Company, which agreed to pay $375,000. The issue here was the way Ford handled opt-out requests. Consumers could submit a request through an online form to opt out of the sale or sharing of their personal information, but after submitting the form, they had to check their email and click a confirmation link before Ford would process the request. CalPrivacy determined that this extra step created unnecessary friction for consumers exercising their opt-out rights. This highlights an important distinction under the CCPA. For some rights, like the right to know, correct, or delete personal information, companies are allowed to verify the consumer's identity. But for opt-out requests, businesses generally can't require identity verification. They may ask for information necessary to identify the consumer, but they can't require extra steps to confirm identity before honoring the opt-out. This is an easy compliance trap. Many companies design a single workflow for all privacy rights requests, but under the CCPA, opt-outs must be handled more immediately and with fewer barriers. In addition to these enforcement actions, CalPrivacy is also looking ahead. The agency recently requested public comments on potential rulemaking focusing on 2 areas. The first is reducing friction in the exercise of privacy rights, and the second is how opt-out preference signals are handled. CalPrivacy is asking stakeholders about the real-world challenges both consumers and businesses face when exercising or processing these rights. For example, the agency pointed to issues like lack of standardization across businesses, the differences between known users and pseudonymous profiles, and technical differences across browsers, devices, and identifiers when handling opt-out signals. Comments are open until April 6th. And while a request for comments doesn't necessarily mean new rules are coming, it does suggest that the agency is trying to better understand the practical complexities of privacy compliance. That's all for this week. As always, you can find more details in our newsletter, A Little Privacy Please. I'm Julie Rubash. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Until then, go enjoy a little privacy, please.